All right, good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to another live stream, first live stream of 2022. And thankfully, I am feeling much better this time. So, if anybody tuned in last week, it was pretty rough because I felt pretty awful that day. But I'm feeling much better today. And feeling much better, especially because this is an exciting live stream. It's exciting for a couple of reasons. Number one, obviously, we're doing something in the data science field of work. But what is exciting for me specifically is I don't know if y'all know this. I love consumer electronics. So I'm constantly watching tech websites. I am watching YouTube's. A couple of my favorite YouTube channels, MKBHD, Jonathan Morrison, John Rettinger, a couple of those guys all do fantastic consumer electronics. And then they've been doing EVs more recently. And so I always love to keep up with the latest and greatest. And I'm going to be just totally honest. And if you know me personally, this is not a shock to you at all. I am a huge Apple fanboy. I own pretty much every Apple product under the sun. Apple TV, iPhone, Mac, and we'll get to iPad, HomePod, pretty much it all. I've always loved the Apple products, and so I have not owned a personal Windows machine in over 10 years. And so I've actually only ever owned one Windows machine. And so when I graduated from high school in 2008, my parents got me a Windows laptop, which was Windows Vista at the time, for college. And that thing was garbage. and so actually about 8 months into it, I had so many issues with it, and I wasn't even doing anything that nefarious with it. It just was not good, and I think partly it was the fact that it had to do with Windows Vista. So anyway, my parents were somehow successfully able to return it, and then they bought me my first MacBook at that point, and then I've been on Mac ever since. And so I did, whenever I was working as a business analyst within State Farm, I did use Windows laptops at that point. But that's kind of a different experience because it's different. Well, for two reasons. Number one, it wasn't my personal machine, so I couldn't customize it really to my liking. And number two, I wasn't a developer at that point. And so this is my first time owning a Windows machine with that is my own personal machine and as a developer. And so this is going to really shock some of you because I post so much about my iPad. I sold my iPad. I know that's probably going to shock some of you. And here's the thing. Let me just be completely honest. I loved my iPad, but it came to the point where, because I think I'd mentioned before in a previous live stream that I don't own a laptop anymore. So I still do have my Mac Mini over here, sitting on this little shelf and hooked up to my whole desktop rig here. But I was doing all my portable coding on the iPad, but just being completely honest, Apple really needs to do something with the iPad, because the iPad, so the iPad is the cheaper iPad is great as a consumer device, but this idea of having an iPad Pro and sticking the M1 chip in it, and it's got all these super fast specs, and then limiting it with iOS like that, it's a bit of a travesty. Because the reason, and my biggest complaint is we got this fast M1 chip, but there was no way I could ever run natively any of my Python scripts for data science. I would always have to copy them over to my Mac Mini here and then run it that way. And so that was fine, except I got a little bit tired of that. And so the big kicker for me is earlier this week I met with the guys that I mentor at the local high school that I do. So we talked about the other live stream how we were starting off this computer vision kind of project, and it was I put together this little tutorial for them, and I got on and they all kind of gave me blank looks because they're all on Windows machines. And so I realized, if I really want to reach a wide audience of people that really want to learn this whole skill, I really need to understand the Windows ecosystem better. And so, and honestly, so the reason I liked the iPad so much is because it was great for what it even though I had to go through all these hoops to get all the coding and stuff working, it was good, but not great, but. Hands down, it is still a great consumer electronics device in the sense that, watching movies, watching movies. Well, that's the reality is what I'm saying, because I used to use the iPad a lot more for things like gaming and whatnot, and I just don't do that anymore. Just mostly because I just don't have time, and honestly, not a whole lot. I still do love gaming. I own every single modern console, Xbox Series X, PS5, but like iPad, I'm just kind of done gaming on it. And then honestly, so this is a complaint even about the Mac Mini. Just to be fair, Mac Mini is not great for gaming, especially so you have the big platform Steam. So Steam, I bought a couple games on there a couple years ago, and they worked just fine on my Mac. And then Mac changed their architecture, and now I can't play any of those games. So for example, Portal, Half-Life, can't play any of those. And so I've got this whole library of games on Steam that I can't play at all on my Mac, not even on the Mac Mini. So I decided I'm gonna just sell my iPad, and get myself a Windows machine. So that you can kind of see it off on the side over here. So that's what this is. I actually just picked this up yesterday at the local Best Buy. It is the newest in the Microsoft Surface lineup. It is the Surface Pro 8. This is the baseline model. It only comes with 128 gigabytes of storage. However, I was fine with that because it is actually replaceable. So I actually did order myself a new solid state drive up to upgrade to half a terabyte, because I'm good with half a terabyte. I don't need a full terabyte. And so that'll be here in a couple days. So actually the whole tutorial that we're going through today, I'm going to have to redo again probably whenever I get that new thing. But so I've had a lot of fun with this. I've only owned this, excuse me, for about 24 hours now. And I have not put a single dev thing on here yet. I did put Steam on here. I put Affinity Designer, which is my graphic design software, iTunes, a couple other things. And yeah, so let's go ahead and just jump into like the UI here. So I'm gonna do so by the way, this is not gonna look the best quality. So what I'm doing here, because I couldn't, I struggled to get like something that would mirror the interface here onto my Mac, because right now the live stream you're watching is streaming off my Mac Mini over here. So actually this is kind of cool, and I'll go ahead and show this. There is this free app out there called Desk Screen, and this is not perfect, but it works I mean, this is just fine for what we're doing today, and I'll come up with a better solution in the future. But what this free app does is it basically shares out the screen of this on a local private network. And so then I go into my browser. This is actually Safari on my my Mac Mini here. I go into my browser, go to the specific address, and then it will say, okay, do you want to, and then you'll be able to select the proper Windows machine, and then you on here then have to approve that. So there is a little bit of a privacy thing there where not just anybody can look at this. I have to, like, if on this machine, I do have to approve whomever. So that's kind of nice. Just but just the only downside is there's a tiny bit of latency, and it's just honestly not as pretty. So so you might be wondering, why did I select the Microsoft Surface over any other products? Number one, I still wanted a tablet because I do, in terms of like what I did use my iPad for that wasn't coding, I do like to watch YouTube videos or movies or whatnot, and so I did want a 2-in-1, so I can detach the keyboard. I also really like. So I don't know if I'm kind of a geek nerd when it comes to just like specs and stuff. And this is not like the highest spec Windows machine at all, but it does have a 120 hertz refresh rate screen, which means it's just basically super buttery smooth. That probably you probably can't tell that here on the live stream, just because again I'm doing a little stream here from there to you. But if you actually saw it in person, this thing is buttery smooth. This machine is running Windows 11, which came out just a couple months ago. And what else? You can't really see, but this keyboard tray here actually kind of folds down a little bit. So I don't know if you saw that on the stream there. Actually, let me go ahead and share my screen. Just me again. Okay, so if my personal logo would get out of the way. All right, so if I kind of just like pull it a little bit more, you'll see there's a slot there. I haven't purchased a pen yet, but I might. But you could actually stick your like personal like stylus that they make for this. Specifically right here, and it's how it's charged. So it's a really cool device. Not perfect. I think my biggest gripe is it's not as nearly as nice to like hold in your lap as it was like the iPad Pro was with that Magic Keyboard. But that's really my only major complaint. And then also, just being completely honest, it's not Mac OS, and I do prefer Mac OS. So, but things have come a long way. So again, keeping in mind the last personal computer I owned that was Windows was Windows Vista, and so we've come what Windows Vista 7, 8, 10, and now 11. Oh, I keep doing that backwards. 8 or 7 or Vista 7, 8, 10, and 11 now. Okay, so this one I think 11's just been out a couple months. I haven't kept up super well on the anything, but also I just appreciate now the fact that there are these the big software manufacturers are now turning out their own hardware as well. So obviously Apple's been doing that for decades, but more recently, like Google with their Pixel and the Tensor chip that they put in their Pixel, that's really impressive. I also and even not even just computers, but if you think of like Nintendo with the Nintendo Switch, obviously when you make the hardware, you know how to get the most out of your software. So like obviously the games on Nintendo Switch that look the best are made by Nintendo, so like Super Mario Odyssey, more recently Metroid Dread, beautiful games. I can't think of a single third party game on the Nintendo Switch that looks better than anything that Nintendo's put out directly themselves. But don't quote me on that because I can't remember them all off the top of my head. Yeah, enough waffling about my personal like just geeking out over technology. And so I reserve the right to change my mind about anything later as well, in the sense that because my wife was kind of shocked also that I just up and out of the blue just I was like, all right, I'm selling my iPad. So I'll never say I won't go back to an iPad. I'll never say I won't go back to a MacBook. Although I will still say, even though I am a big Apple fanboy, like Apple, come on, we need a 2-in-1. The iPad. I love the iPad. It's not a full OS. We need a proper 2-in-1. I would pay for it, please. Lots of people would pay for it. But I do love the new MacBook Pros. They are nice. I actually am getting one for work here soon, and I am stoked about that. So yeah, let's jump into Windows here. So we are going to cover and so keep in mind again, this is just streaming onto here, so I've still got my full Mac OS up here. So this is my trackpad over here that I'm touching. So my trackpad, where's my reminders? So we're going to cover a couple different things today. I don't know if we're going to get to all these because again, just transparently, I did not do any pre-research on how to properly install these. Some of these I think are going to be pretty straightforward. And I don't know if we'll go exactly in this precise order. And actually, now that I think about it, I think Python and pip will actually come installed with Anaconda. But I should have said this at the beginning. This live stream is very much designed for anybody, any audience. So if you have no experience with data science or machine learning or anything, we're going to get your tool started. And I made a post on LinkedIn the other day saying that it's really amazing how far we've come with things like Google Colab. So if you're not familiar with Google Colab, it's a runtime environment that's within a browser that you can do like basically data science work. I'm trying to not use too technical of terms. So for you techie folks out there, it is basically a reskinned version of Jupyter Notebooks that supports free GPUs and whatnot. It is a great learning environment for totally new people. And actually somebody on that post asked me if I had any tutorials on there or anything. I forgot to respond. I will respond back to that though. We have come a long way. And you actually do not have to set up anything yourself really anymore if you just want to get started. But this is really more for people who want to take that next step or are really dedicated to wanting to actually see their learning journey all the way through. Because Google Colab is great, but it's not a full, it's good for some things, but it's not good for everything. So I want to make an environment that is good for everything. So I want to basically emulate the same environment that I have on my Mac Mini. But all that said, I am still so impressed with Google Colab. So when I first started machine learning, I had to do all this setup myself, and I just went through text guides, and it was kind of struggling to understand, like, okay, what is this thing called Anaconda? What is it? How does it relate to Python? Are Java and JavaScript the same thing? Serious questions. And I'm sure that most people, and I'm not gonna make fun of people out there that think, oh, Java and JavaScript must be the same thing. That's just really whoever made the decision to call that like, why? Okay, so back to the first thing we're going to cover is Anaconda. And so I have downloaded Chrome in here. So I'm just going to do a Google search for Anaconda. I'm sure it'll be the very first thing that comes up. And there it is. So Anaconda is, as you can see off on the right here, is a distribution of Python and R programming language for scientific computing that aims to simplify package management and deployment. So basically, it is a very simple way to set up a data science environment all in one place. So a couple caveats to this, or one caveat I should say. Anaconda was open source forever. It has recently gone to a paid model, but a paid model only for larger companies. So if you're a larger company and you want to use Anaconda, you will have to pay licensing fees now. And I don't know, I don't remember how expensive it is. I want to say it's like if you're a big enough company, I think it's worth it. But the good news is for individuals like you and me, free. Great. So let's look at this. So we're just going to go into Anaconda here. And again, I did not do any pre-work on this at all because I wanted to come into this kind of with fresh eyes. So let's see here. I'm just going to do the get started because I'm assuming it's going to be in here. I kind of see all the Anaconda products, individual edition. Okay, and then it's probably going to give us, okay, so this we're going to need to install this. Looks like it's about a 510 megabytes. All right, so do I need to put all this stuff in? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second, or switch on over so I can fill this information in without you seeing my personal info. Just because honestly, I just don't want to give out my personal email or anything. So, okay. I am not a robot. Okay, let me go back to sharing my screen again. If it'll let me dismiss. Oh, dang it, no. Sorry. Oh, I forgot to click the checkbox. Okay. So what I'm doing over here is I'm just populating my personal email and password. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm now on this screen. So that took about 2 seconds. I hope I don't get spammed with anything. To finish setting up your account. Okay, what about installers? Okay, so it looks like we got a couple of installers. So, again, we are doing a Windows setup here, so we are not going to cover Mac OS. But again, if you do have a Mac, you can do do an installation of Anaconda on here. So, in case you're wondering, 64-bit or 32-bit. So most modern computers are 64-bit. So if you don't know, I would assume 64-bit. And in fact, it'll tell you like if you do have a 32-bit computer and you download this. It'll say this is just not compatible, and if it's not compatible, just then go and download the other one. Maybe I already downloaded this. Okay, maybe I did download this in a different way. So what we're doing here is we just navigated on over to my downloads folder, and we are just going to do the same walkthrough here. So next, we are going to agree to the terms and conditions because everybody reads all those. I'm going to install this for all users, even though I am the only user. I hope nothing sensitive pops up here. Do you want to... Okay, so that just went blank for a second. I hope it comes back. Okay, there we go. So it's going to say space required is 3 gigabytes. I only have 57 left, which is why I'm going to be upgrading my hard drive because 128 is just a little too small. Okay, so the next thing is add Anaconda to the system path environment variable, not recommended. Instead, open Anaconda 3 with the start menu and select 64-bit and add this at. We're just going to go, because I actually think I do want to add this later, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But for now, just to keep things simple, let's just stick with registering Anaconda as the system Python 3.9, which was that second option there. Go ahead and hit install, and we're watching it run. Okay, and so what this is doing, I believe, is it's installing everything associated with Anaconda. So what Anaconda, you can do a couple different things, but one of the primary things about Anaconda is that you can create these things called virtual environments. And so if you're not familiar with a virtual environment, think of it as a computer within a computer. So it's basically taking like a slice of your computer and parceling it off and saying, okay, we only want this little parcel to have these little bits of information. And the reason that's important is because whenever you actually deploy something out into a real world environment, is you want the environment that you are deploying to match the same the environment that you have on your machine that you're developing things on. And the reason that's important is because software is versioned appropriately. And if you have like a newer version on your local laptop but there's an older version out where you're deploying things, you could have things break, and that's not great, obviously. And so what we do is we create virtual environments. There are a number of different ways to create virtual environments. Anaconda is just one of them. But the other thing that I believe Anaconda is doing is installing Python, which is the programming language that we use for data science, and then a couple of other things associated to that. So a couple of basic Python libraries. So if you're not familiar with what a library is, think about. I'm trying to think how to describe this best in simple terms. So let's say you go buy a car. No, I don't want to say buy a car because it's let's say you just on your laptop here. When I bought this laptop and I opened it out of the box, the only thing that came on it was Windows 11 and then a couple of basic Microsoft apps. And so that's, if you think about Python, just bare bones Python, we have Python, like, and just like the basic things that Python can do. But like, let's say on your laptop, you want it to do something more. Let's say you want it to play games. So you might install Steam, or let's say you don't like the Edge browser. So you install Chrome. Libraries are very much the same, like sort of the same concept of like, if the bare bones functionality and I'm just hitting next with working with PyCharm Pro. I'm not going to install PyCharm Pro because I prefer IntelliJ, although there's nothing wrong with PyCharm. I do not want to do either one of those. But anyway, so I'm starting a little bit sidetracked because I was trying to do this thing here. And I feel like I'm talking really fast today. But yeah, so Python libraries are very similar to those additional libraries or additional software programs that you bring on your computer here. So a couple of examples of Python libraries that we use very often in the data science world: NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, scikit-learn, and then more on like the development, the API development side of things. You got Gunicorn, Uvicorn, Fast API, and if none of these terms make any sense to you, that's fine. They are marketing names, of course, so that it's not like obviously Pandas is not anything that has to do with Pandas. I actually think it stands for, what does Pandas stand for? It actually is like what is it? It's not abbreviation, but it's when you take like two words and you kind of like mash them together. I'm trying to think so when, I don't know if you've all seen this travesty in stores, but I guess there are some like crazy people out there that enjoy mayo and ketchup together. So Heinz has put out a mayo chup, and I think so. Obviously, mayo chup is a combination of mayo. Well, I guess that's the full word, and then ketchup, just cut off the catch. So mayo chup. Whoever actually likes that out there, who hurt you? So let's go ahead and complete the installation here. So we're going to go ahead and hit finish. And if all was good, we should go into our start menu. And so if you're not familiar with Windows 11, because I know this is a really new OS, this is just the same start menu. It's just they moved it over to the center, it looks like. And I know it looks a little bit different, but I think Anaconda should be in here. Anaconda. So there's the prompt. So there are a couple things in here that I just never use. And then there are a couple things that you can do things like, so Jupyter Notebook here, for example. You can open up Jupyter Notebook like this. I don't. I personally opt to open it up through the command line. And we'll talk a little bit more about the command line, but I haven't installed Anaconda like this in forever, so I'm not even sure. Well, that's the other thing is so at least with Mac, you have a default terminal. And so since I am on the Mac here, so by default, your Mac, okay, a little bit of a computer lesson here. The reason that a lot of people prefer Mac for development specifically is that Mac was built on top of this open source operating system OS called Linux, and there are a couple different distributions of Linux. You may have heard that term before. In fact, you may have even seen a little penguin guy. That is the logo for Linux. Let me see if I can just show you a picture of the Linux penguin. Linux penguin. Okay, so there you go. This is a Linux penguin. Not this so much, but these other guys. The ones with the pecs, because this penguin's been lifted. Speaking of that, so New Year's resolutions for me. I posted this on Instagram. I don't think I posted it on LinkedIn. Number one, hands down, I gained 40 pounds over the pandemic, and I want to lose that this year. And so my wife and I have been partnering together. We are doing some keto-based meals, and in just 1 week, I've lost 10 pounds already. Now, granted, I will say for me specifically, because I've done this weight loss journey a couple times now, this might surprise you. When I first, because I lost, my biggest weight loss journey was in 2015. At that point, I lost 100 pounds. But even before then, I was like just starting to trickle down. So in 2011, I was pushing 300 pounds. And then at my very lowest in mid 2016, I got down to about 160 pounds. And so I was so thin. And I'm not trying to make this as a joke, but the joke here is that I can't believe somebody asked me this. But one of my coworkers once asked me if I had cancer. And so I'm just laughing because it's like, why did you just ask? why would you ask any, like, do you just have cancer? But anyway, so since then I've gained a bit back, and I do like to run, and so I really want to get back down. I haven't run a half marathon in like 2 years. I'd love to do another half marathon. And then also I want to do more things with deep learning. So obviously we've started the computer vision, more NLP, and I can't remember what the others were now. Getting better with piano playing. Fun fact, I've been playing piano since I was 6 years old, taking lessons since then. But I would not say I'm not like a master at all. If I were to be transparent about my skill on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, I'm like a 7. Whereas like the masters are like 9s or 10s. But 7's still pretty decent, but I want to get better than that. Okay, so sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent again. Okay, so what was I talking about? So Linux. Oh, so that's what I was saying. So the reason that people prefer Mac over Windows is that when Mac was actually built on top of Linux. So if you, I'm trying to think of any other software. So actually well, never mind. But it basically, it's like, we obviously Mac OS is its own thing still, and you can't just go install Mac OS on any old computer because of all the proprietary licenses that Apple's put on it. But under the hood is still Linux, and so that's why this is a default program that comes with Mac OS. Is called Terminal. I actually use a different program called iTerm 2, but it basically does the same thing. And then we can run standard Linux commands. So ls is to like list all the directories. Excuse me. CD is change directory. So and if you're not familiar with what a directory, think of it as a file. So you can see like I got my documents here. So we'll switch into documents, CD into documents, change directory into documents. Apparently I've never used terminal on this computer. So ls again, so you can see I'll cd into, where's my repositories? Did I have cd development maybe? Oh, I forgot I moved it into iCloud Drive the other day. Oh, so that is the one thing I will give kudos to Apple on, because I was super, super afraid that like, I'm so locked into the Apple ecosystem. Like I have even iCloud, I use iCloud Drive as like my, instead of like Dropbox or Google Drive. And then also I use the iCloud keychain for passwords and stuff. Apple actually supports porting that stuff on over. So you can actually do, so I actually I moved all my repositories over into iCloud Drive, and I can actually, so let's go ahead and look at my Windows machine here. You can see it over on the left-hand side over here. This is my iCloud Drive. So I could actually, and so you can see all my repositories are up in the cloud now. Where are my repositories? There they are. So all my repositories are up in the cloud. And so then I can access from here from my Windows computer. So thank you, Apple. I guess they had never advertised that, obviously, because I never even knew that. I was kind of surprised that, I'm a tech geek, but I had no idea that was the case. But so if you have a little bit of hesitation of going from a Mac to Windows or owning both like I do, it's not perfect. Like, so you're not going to get iMessage, you're not going to get FaceTime, but you will get things like iCloud Drive. So thank you, Apple, for that. Again, getting sidetracked here. So whereas Windows is, so Mac OS based on Linux, Windows, not the case. So they have they don't have natively this command line here, but Windows has been trying to make strides toward that with other software and whatnot to emulate kind of the Linux operating system. And so that's going to be one challenge that we're going to have to work through that I'm not sure how to necessarily do yet. So let's look at our apps and let's see. So I haven't installed much. I installed this, by the way, this Disney Frozen 2 coding kit. I just because it was free on the Microsoft Store. I had not looked at it at all. Once I might give it a review, just because my daughters are huge into Frozen. I got a 3-year-old and now a 5-year-old. She just turned 5 last week. And they both love Frozen, and I've got them really interested in computer vision. So we had some fun last night together, putting their toys underneath my camera to see what it would recognize things as. So that's pretty cool, and I really I love my daughters. I want to get them involved in STEM-related activities. So let's keep scrolling here. Where's the Anaconda stuff? Oh, at the top, of course. Okay, so it installed all these different things. I've never used Spider, and I don't think you ever will either. I don't ever use Navigator, but like I said, let's go ahead and open up Jupyter Notebook. So what this is doing here, and actually this is kind of a joke anyway. So what it just did was, all it did was start up the Jupyter interface like I do through the command line anyway. So if we go into iCloud Drive here, for example, and then we go into my repositories. And then we go into which one do I want to pick? I've got so many to choose from. I want to pick one that we've done before in one of these streams. So this is the Titanic BYOC that we should probably get back to at some point. And then go into one of these. And so you can see here, the way that Jupyter works is that it basically starts up this little server on your screen. So if you're not familiar with what the concept of a server is basically, again, because when you think of a server, you probably think of this big hulking, massive thing that's probably sitting off in some room. It's got a bunch of cables coming out of it, and that can be the case in the terms of like thinking of a physical server. But conceptually, it's actually can get much smaller than that. It's basically any sort of computing service that allows you to interact with it. And so, for example, here, so on my machine, we have started a baby server on here that is housing this Jupyter interface, and then we can access it here through any old browser. And so that's the case with any Jupyter Notebook, not just on Windows, same thing on Mac. I was always doing this on Mac. So the nice thing about a Jupyter Notebook, if you've not seen these streams before, this is Python code, but the nice thing about this is that we can run these in individual cells. And the nice thing is, even further, is we can annotate these cells with notes like this. So you can see here at the top, I have a cell here that just says Titanic data exploration. We are starting off with the Titanic data set. So if I were to, let's go ahead and add another cell here. So this is an actual coding cell. If you want to change it to something more like this, then we use this. It's not exactly a coding language. It's just, but it's like a text editor almost, but that just has like special syntax. So I changed it here, so I don't have to do anything special. Like I am live streaming my Surface Pro 8, and then so you can't. So the way to actually, so if you were to just click away from here, it would still stay like this. But if you wanted to look like the actual normal text, you would have to run it. So I did run it from my keyboard. The keyboard shortcut for that is just Shift and Enter. So Shift and Enter, and then you can see I've got the text here. So, but if you want to do something more like a fancy heading, then you might do like one of these pound signs. So heading 1. If you wanted to do like a smaller heading, then you could do 2 of these. Heading 2, heading 3, and so on. So and you can do more than that other than just heading. So like if you did 1 asterisk, hello, then it italicizes things. Hello in italics. And then if we do 2 asterisks is hello in bold. And then if you want to do like a hyperlink, and I'm getting off track again. So it's bracket, so left bracket, this is my link to google.com. And then close that bracket, and then directly after that in parentheses here we do https // www.google.com. All right, and so there's a lot more fancy things that you can do with Markdown here, but let's go ahead and run that so you can see here that it looks just plain as day now. You got heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, you got the italics, you got the bold, and then you have the hyperlink here. And so you can see when I hover my mouse over here that this, if I were to click this, and actually let's go ahead and click this, it opens a new tab in Google. Boom. All right, so that is Jupyter Notebooks. I love Jupyter Notebooks. I use them all the time for preliminary sort of work. Now, just to be honest, you don't want you can't productionalize a Jupyter notebook. Meaning, like if you built something like a data science computer machine learning model using a Jupyter notebook, that's great that you did that. But then you actually have to put it in a Python file, and in there. Yeah, and the big reason for that is because you can actually run these cells in whatever order you want. And so this is one complaint that or one gripe that I have about the data science community is sometimes to build a model, like it's not always linear. It's not always you run this one, you run this one, you run this one. Sometimes it's you run this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one out of order. Like 1, 3, 2, 4, 7, 8, 6, and it's just very hard to keep track. But yeah, this is Jupyter. Love Jupyter. And that is how you can use Anaconda to open Jupyter here. Oh wait, wrong cursor. Sorry, got two cursors, two things going on right now. I need to take a sip. Okay. So that is Anaconda. I did want to. All right, so let's go ahead and mark Anaconda off the list because more or less we kind of completed that. I am curious though, so when I say some sort of shell here, so that the terminal that I just showed and just closed. Actually, so let me open up the actual terminal that I use. Let me close that up. So the actual terminal that I use is something called iTerm2. Oops, went to the website. So, all right, well, I guess now you know if you're on a Mac and you want to use iTerm2, this is where you go. So let me just open up iTerm instead. All right, so this is and you may have seen me use this on previous live streams. So this is my terminal, but we run things in what we call shell scripts. So I guess I could. Let me not confuse you, and let's just call this some sort of command line interface, because that's what this is, a command line interface. So this is how we can run different things. So for example, if I wanted to run Python, then I would just type Python here, and then I would type the name of the file. If I run test.py right here, it's not going to show anything because there is no test.py where I'm at right now, as you can see. Now if I were to go to my repos, oh, I forgot that I moved it. Ugh, I'm going to have to redo my alias. So aliasing, by the way, is whenever you create your own custom little word, like keyword, that kind of does the commands for you. So my alias here, repos, was doing a change directory, a CD into documents and then repositories, but I forgot that I moved it into iCloud. So I'm going to need to change that. I'm not even sure how to navigate to that from here. I'm just going to have to figure that out later. No big deal. Okay, so anyway, this is the command line, and like I said, on Mac, the default one is terminal, or you can download very easily iTerm2. Windows, I am less familiar with because I have not done this in years. Get rid of that other cursor. All right, so let me see if Anaconda actually installed something here. Okay, all right, so Anaconda, back to all apps, Anaconda. And if you're wondering why am I spending so much time on Anaconda, is because honestly 80% of setting up your data science environment is just installing Anaconda. Like I have these other things listed out here. I do want to get to Git, but I'm pretty sure we already did Python and pip alongside the installation of Anaconda. So by the way, if you're not familiar with what pip is, so we talked about these ideas of Python libraries. So anybody in the world is welcome to create their own Python library. In fact, in a future live stream, I am thinking about creating my own Python library for around that movie ratings model that we're creating. And so everything, if you want to create your own Python library, then let's go ahead and do it on my Windows machine here. Then you upload it all to PyPy. So PyPy is just a shortened acronym for Python Package Index. And so like I was saying, you can search for anything out here that you would want to do. So for example, we were talking about pandas before. So if I search for pandas in here, And I'm not sure why that one comes up first, because this one here, 1.3.5, is the most popular one in the world. The one that we data scientists and machine learning engineers all use. And so it'll show some basic information about pandas here, but most people have like their own website that they actually show all their documentation stuff on. And so, but the nice thing about PyPy is if you're not sure where the official documentation is, you can come out to PyPy, and then you can see off here on the left. You could look at the source code. We're not going to look at that, but usually people will put like the homepage. So if I click here, homepage, now you can see this is the official Pandas homepage. And so the way that we install these packages is with a tool called pip. So like, let's say for example, I wanted to install, so this is another gripe that I have about the new Mac is I tried, because I'm doing a course on TensorFlow. So TensorFlow is a deep learning technology, and I tried getting TensorFlow installed on this new Mac Mini, and I still haven't gotten it working. Yeah, like I don't, but to be fair, I haven't tried that hard. But when I tried to get it working the other day, whatever I did, I wiped out all of my Python libraries that I had already installed. So I'm going to have to reinstall everything. So this is a good opportunity to show you what this is. So we do a pip or a pip3. So pip, like the only well, I won't say what pip3 is, but so if we want to do it like an install, so pip install, I think I already installed Pandas, so let me pick a different one. So I'll pip install fast API. So then you can see here what it's basically doing is it's reaching out to PyPy, and it's looking for whatever we need, and then it will get not only just fast API but all of the dependencies that we need. So you can see here in this interface here we got fast API, of course, but it also needs Pydantic, Starlet, and NEIO. So what it just did is it installed all that, or downloaded all that first, and then installed it to my local desktop here. So that is what pip is. So I am hoping. All right, so let's come back in here again to see if there's an actual interface. And again, I am monitoring both chats if anybody has any questions. I've not seen any questions come through, and that's totally fine. I need to take a sip here. Because I don't know what this PowerShell prompt is. I've never seen this before. So let's see. So I am in here. Let's see if this will run Linux commands. So ls worked. So let's cd into iCloud Drive. Did this work? So maybe this will suffice for us. I will do more research on this. And like I said, I have a separate hard drive coming, or a new hard drive coming that I'm going to replace out of the Surface here. So I'm going to have to go through everything here again anyway. And when I do that, I actually have a Git repo out that I will update with instructions. So again, I'm trying to, let me keep things a little bit basic again. Well, actually, you know what? Let's go into Git. Let's talk about Git, and let's install Git on here. So what is Git? And Git, all right, so when I went a little bit fast there. So what I just did here is I just Googled Git, and then the very first one on here, Git SCM. So I don't remember what does SCM stand for. But anyway, so what is Git? So when you think about writing your code, Git, and let's say me and a buddy or a team are writing code. What Git is basically it's an advanced version control system for your code. And it allows people to work on whatever they need to work on without impacting the main, like, final golden release, if you will. So for example, like let's say, and we normally store like the final golden release. Well, let me step back for a second. So if let's say there's already this established code repository out there. If I wanted to alter that code or play around with that code without messing around with the actual like golden master version of it, what I do is I would clone the repository from wherever it's at, whether it be Git. So there are different repository applications. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So I'll clone it from GitHub, and I'll talk about GitHub in a bit. I'll clone it from GitHub onto my local machine, and then I will create what is called my own branch. So in my own branch, then I can do code alteration and stuff, and actually commit my code appropriately into this code repository. And then once it's all good here, and actually this diagram is actually pretty good. So let's say I'm the blue line here and I created my own branch. Then at that point, I can merge the branch back into the primary branch here. And so the primary branch here we call The main branch, it used to be more referred to as the master branch, and you might see that more so, but we have just the community has decided that because when you think about master, that is like a master slave connotation. So just in the last 6 months or so, the whole coding community has decided to rename this branch basically to main. So you have this main or master branch. I'm the only reason I'm still saying master is just because most repositories out there are still just calling use it master branch. Because people have not updated it. In fact, some of my older Git repositories are still have master just because I haven't gone back and updated anything. But anyway, so you create your own branch, and then you can control your own code, merge it back in here, or you can continue even after you merge. You can continue along the path of this other branch, continue to do more work. Maybe you do some additional testing. It's all good to go, and then you merge it back in again. So Git is amazing. Like I honestly kind of wish that we use Git for like Word documents and stuff, because the other nice thing about Git is you're not storing a full copy of every single time you make some change, and it just stores what we call deltas, and that is just like the little change only that you made. So you're not exploding your whole like hard drive with multiple copies of everything. And then the other great thing about Git is, let's say I'm already on here. Why am I still using this cursor? I'm over here at this point, and I made a boo-boo or something, and I want to go back to this one. No problem with Git. You just roll it back. So we are going to install Git on my machine. And so before we do the installation, because you may have heard of GitHub. So actually, let me navigate on over to GitHub, github.com. GitHub directly does not have a tie to Git, meaning that when you think of GitHub and Git, it's very easy to think, oh, okay, so this company made Git. No, they didn't. They just were like one of the first big ones to the game of actually creating this whole repository, master repository of where people can upload their code to for mostly for free. There are some pro features. Most people I don't personally know do not use the pro features. Bigger companies might use the pro features, so that's why you do see a pricing up here. But if you are an individual, you can sign up for free. And so I have not signed into Git on this machine yet. So I am here. Let me go ahead and I'm going to go over here while I type in my information over here. And I'm not even sure I remember what my password is here. iCloud passwords. Okay. So, and that's the thing is, because I actually don't use the same password for anything anymore. I just use custom, so iCloud or 1Password offers functionality that will create like a dynamic password for you every time. And then it saves the password for yourself. And so that's why I was really happy to see that iCloud actually made a Windows widget for this. And because I actually don't know the password, my own password to GitHub. And I need to lock that, sign in. All right, Windows hello, thank you. All right, sorry that I'm not sharing my screen. I just don't want to reveal all this information deal. Okay, so I can get out of that. All right. All right. Ugh. I don't remember my password, and it's not... Okay. All right, now I can come back here, and I do have two-factor verification on here. So what two-factor verification is basically saying, okay, I have my password, but I also use an app on my phone that basically says, okay, it's got... Well, I have no problem showing this. So Authenticator, I don't know if you're going to see this very well. I use Microsoft Authenticator for this. So you can see here, and the reason... Let me see if this will clear up for you. Nah, maybe not. Maybe not. Nope, it's not going to work. Sorry. Come on, camera. Are you going to work? Okay. Okay, so you can see there. And the reason I'm fine with showing these codes right here is because they rotate every 30 seconds. And so it's not good. You have to have both my password and this. And so what you can see here on the shared screen here is that it's asking me for my 6-digit code from my Authenticator app from GitHub here. So it's about to rotate in 3, 2, 1. So let me get that new one. All right, so the new one is 628597. Okay, so this is my personal GitHub. Again, anybody can create a GitHub. And what I was referring to here is that you can create multiple repositories. So you can think of a repository as like a separate project. I do have a repository in here. I have to find it. I haven't updated it in a while on how to like do a workstation setup. Excuse me, but I only tailored it to Mac users. So I will have to update this for Windows users now, and I will do that here in the future. So the way to navigate to this, you can see the URL up there, github.com/dkhundley/ds-workstation-setup. And I do believe I have that also in my link tree. So if you don't know what link tree is, well, I'll just show you. So www. Well, actually, if you just go to dkhundley.com, like so, then this is my link tree. So you may have seen other people use this. This is a really nice free service. Again, there is premium functionality that I have not enabled here. But what you can do here is you could just add basically a collection of links to everything. And I actually recommend this for anybody, whether or not you're a software developer or you're a graphic designer or whatever. If you want to build a portfolio of your work, my recommendation is buy your own custom URL, like I did. So I bought dkhundley.com. I owned dkhundley.com, and then I had it routing over to Linktree. This Linktree DK Hundley, and then you have the links to everything that you can see for me. So you can see here, I actually do put in the Linktree here the live stream to YouTube, so you can actually see because I stream to YouTube and LinkedIn at the same time. And then if you want to see anything else about me, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, if you want to see my Medium blog, YouTube channel, but the one thing I did want to highlight is I don't have any other Git repos on here except for workstation setup. And the reason is because I wanted to, I put on Instagram sometimes because I create my own custom graphics, and I have like a story that I'll post about when I do a live stream, and then at the bottom it'll say, if you want to follow along and you want to set up your workstation, come here. But the only problem is I haven't updated this in forever. So basically, if you come here again, it circles back around on here. Okay, so we are today is the theme of today's or what am I trying to say? I'm getting all tongue-tied. Let me take a sip here. Oh no, this live stream is brought to you by digressions, because I keep getting off on tangents. All right, so how do you download Git? Pretty simple. Just this little button over here, download for Windows. So let's click this. It's going to ask a couple different things. So download for Windows, you could see other Windows for Git downloads. Let's just go ahead and stick with this one at the top because the one that they advertise is probably the one that's right. Again, everything that we're doing today is free, and that's wonderful about getting started in this world. Like. So, I was complaining that a couple years ago that I had to do all this on my own and I didn't have something like Google Colab. But the one thing I should not, even back then, all this was free, no cost. And you can see I'm not even putting in a credit card or anything for any of this. So this is so nice. All right, so we are going to do next. Okay, so, I forgot about Git Bash. Yeah, okay, so which components do we want to install? So Git Bash, oh man, this is bringing back memories. So before I started in my role as a machine learning engineer, I was kind of in this I was still a business analyst, but I was helping out some people on another team do some data science work, but I was still on a Windows machine at the time. So I actually did have to do some installation on that Windows machine, and the command line that I actually used there was Git Bash, and I forgot about Git Bash. Wow, bringing back memories, folks. Okay, so we definitely want Git Bash. I think my thing stopped. Did it stop? When I mean stopped, I mean it's not. It's clearly still working for me. So let me click next here. Let me restart this real quick for you. I don't have to end the live stream or anything. So let me. Sorry about this, folks. A little bit of technical difficulties here because I'm using a free piece of software that apparently just crashed out on me, and I don't know why. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of here. Well, actually, you know what? Why am I not sharing my screen? I'll go ahead and share my screen. Why not? All right, so sharing my screen here because, again, this free software that I'm using is just this desk screen, and it's within the browser here. And so you can see that it populated this 10.0.0 kind of thing. So it is not working right now. So let's go ahead and close out of this on my Windows machine. And I did, so that is appropriate. That did disconnect. Okay, so let me reopen Desk Screen over here. Desk Screen. DESKREEN. Okay. And okay, so I did get a new URL. So the new URL is 10.0.0.10 3031 slash 155.546. And the reason, again, I have no problem showing this to you is because you'll see it here in the UI in a second if this works. Did I type it wrong? I may have typed it wrong because I'm not getting. Usually, I get like an instant notification. Well, son of a gun. If this doesn't work, we're gonna have to call it quits. 1555046. Did I do that right? I wonder if it's just like this browser's not. Let's try a different browser. Well, I don't want to close out. Yeah, let's just reopen Safari. Okay. All right, so 10.0.0. All right, and then 155.5. 15546. 3 5s, 4 and 6. Okay. All right, let's try Chrome. Let's try Chrome. All right. Even though I do have 2 Chrome tabs already open. All right, new window. All right, so let's bring Chrome up here and make it full screen. All right, so 10.0.0. Oh my gosh, dot 10. 10.0.0.10 colon 3131 slash 155.546. All right, and it may just be that this software is not working right. Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on here. Let get side Vim editor, use Vim, use Notepad++. Vim is fine. Let get decide. So I'm just doing use Git from Git Bash only from command line recommended. Okay. So I'm gonna have to do a reboot on this computer because I think some issues going on with my computer here. Again, so this is Windows 11, and I have heard that it can be buggy at times, unfortunately. Actually, so when I closed out Desk Screen again, it looked like it was trying to work there, but then it stopped. So and the nice thing though is that it takes it's pretty quick to restart this thing. So let's see if there's anything I can talk about while this is restarting. So coming back to here, so we did Anaconda, and then we are installing Git, and Git might get us there with the command line interface. And again, I think Python might already be done, but I can't test that out yet because I don't have the command line interface set up. So let's talk about a couple of these other things that we're probably not going to get to today, but these are also really easy to install. And I'll just show like the web, because basically you're seeing here, the theme here is we're not like getting into the command line to install anything. We're just going onto the web and installing these things. Okay, so my Windows machine is back up and running now. That is one praise of this Surface Pro is this is way faster than any other Windows machines I've ever used, hands down. Okay, where are we at? Oh, I need to open Desk Screen again. All right, DES Screen. Okay. All right, so let's open a browser again. All right, so that's not the one that I want. I want 1.5 because it changes every time. 153.868.868. Okay, now we're going. So you can see here on this screen that it's asking for me to allow, and then over on this other screen, I have to click the allow button. So there is still like a little security layer in there as far as that goes. So I'm selecting this, and we are back. Boom. All right, sorry about those technical difficulties. And if I want to make it full screen on my computer over here, then I just go into full screen mode, and we're back. Okay, let's minimize this. So where we left off, we had just downloaded Git to our downloads folder. Oops, wrong downloads. That is my iCloud Drive downloads. So downloads folder, and then you could see here that, so let's go ahead and install this here. This is Git. Yes, I do want to make these changes. All right, and so let's walk through here. So obviously we start off, of course, with our terms and agreements. So next. Um, these are fine here. So this is just a personal preference for me, and you can kind of see this already. Even on my personal Mac here, I do not like desktop icons. Like because I'm such a minimalist, clean freak kind of person, especially when it comes to code. Like, so I have no desktop icons on my Mac. I have no desktop icons on my window, so I will not put a desktop icon on mine. But that is your personal opinion. I would encourage that you do get LFS. We're not going to talk get LFS, but today, and then keeping these also the same. Check daily for Git for Windows for updates. No, that's okay. And then add a Git Bash profile to the Windows terminal. You know what? Let's just keep it with the defaults. Why not? But if you do want to install the desktop icon, that's perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and go and click next again. Okay, so the question here is which text editor that do we want to use for when we do Git commits or anything. So again, I don't want to talk about this too much, but basically whenever we run Git commands in like the command line interface, it will ask us to at time so specifically if you want to do a Git commit message, it will open up your text editor to update that message if you don't pass in this like one special little thing. We'll just keep it Vim, and we won't talk about Vim today. All right. So adjusting the names of the initial branch in the repository. Let Git use its default branch currently master, or override the default branch. So let's go ahead and override the default branch because I already did say we are switching over to using main now. I've never heard of I've heard of trunk conceptually, but I've never heard of anybody actually using trunk. But let's go ahead and actually do this one. We're going to override the default branch name for new repositories to main because that is now the mainstream way. Okay, so use Git from Git Bash only. So let's do the recommended option. We'll go next. Use open bundled SSH. I honestly don't know what this is, so sure. Use the OpenSSL library, yes. Check out Windows style commit Unix. Check out this is fine. My hunch is that we're just going to click next through pretty much everything, but I want to make sure. This is fine. Pull. This is fine. Default, it's fine. This is fine. Whatever. I don't know what this is doing. Enable file system caching. This is fine. Use experimental no. Enable experimental built-in file monitor. No. So this is fine. So the only thing that we changed in there really was, the changing things to a Git branch. Oh, I have another bot on my YouTube channel. Yay! So every once in a while, I'll now get like weird bots from Russia that will just type random chats in my live streams. And that's happened like the last 3 times. So I was hoping that we'd get one today, and yes, we did. Because I don't know what that means. Because the only thing they type was vor.red, whatever that means. All right. So next, so it is installing everything to our Windows machine here, and so you can see this is actually pretty easy. Like when you have, you've got somebody like a seasoned professional like me helping you walk through this. But honestly, the first time that I did this by myself, it was a little bit of a struggle. Just not gonna lie about that. All right, so and you can see that everything's installing pretty quickly. So we are done, and I do want to launch Git Bash because I wanna go back for a walk down memory lane. Okay, so here, let me go ahead and make this can I make this any bigger? Is there a way to do like a... Okay, so if you do a Control plus, or Control equals, I guess, on your laptop, your computer, or your keyboard, it will make the text bigger for us old men, because, I'm 32, but I'm old. All right, so this is the command line interface. Let's see if it will do the standard Linux commands. Oh, yes, it does. And it has the nice syntax highlighting here. So, like, and what I mean by that is that it will know, like, the things in blue, the darker blue there are actual directories. I'm not sure what the lighter blue is necessarily, so let's go ahead and, where's my iCloud drive? So CD into iCloud drive, okay, bam. All right, so CD, all right, so I'm curious if we did install Python. So if you want to know if you installed Python, the only thing you have to do is type in here, actually, and if you want to clear, let's go ahead and clear the screen. So if you want to clear the screen, just type clear, hit enter, clear screen. Fresh start. We are still in you can see that is the one nice thing. It'll tell you what directory you're currently in. So we are in the iCloud directory. So let's go ahead and go into, well, so this is my personal computer. This is obviously not going to be on yours. So these are all my Git repos right here. So again, let's do clear. So I want to see, did Anaconda actually install appropriately that we can actually reach into here? So let's do a conda version like that. So conda version, conda not found, not great. Okay, so Python version, not version, Python, okay, run without aliases or disable it. Okay, so how do we connect Git Bash to Anaconda? All right, so this is one of the things I was not foreseeing, but that's okay. Not foreseeing in the sense that I didn't know that this specific error would come up, but I knew I was probably going to have some sort of issue. So let's see if we can do connect Anaconda to Git Bash. All right, let's so setting up Anaconda and Git Bash. I am just, and so this is what I do for pretty much anything that I am not sure what to do is I will Google, and then I'll usually select one of the first ones because usually Google does serve the best results first. All right, so install Anaconda, run the Anaconda script, prompt, make Anaconda run a Git Bash. So you can see, add the Anaconda script to your bash RC. So what this bash RC file is it's got basically, like, so when you start up something like Git Bash, it's kind of doing a pre-run of all these things first. So we need to first, this is the same file you store your bash aliases in. The shell script is located inside the folder of your Anaconda distribution. Okay, so, all right, just tell me, Anaconda. All right, so the shell script we needed is located inside the folder of your Anaconda distribution added to your computer. If you remember where that is, navigate to the file explorer. If you don't, remember the easiest way to find is using the search bar, search for Anaconda 3, and scroll down. Okay, so let's see if this works. So Anaconda 3, scroll down, and not here. Great. So, so this is a different search interface. So I wonder if there is. Okay, so I just searched in the file browser here. So Anaconda is searching my PC, and I don't have much installed on here. So hopefully this should be quick. So I'm still getting used to Windows 11. I like some things. Some things just kind of are confusing to me. So, like, for example, the File Explorer window here, because they put a fresh coat of paint on, so this is the desktop here. The desktop, I think, looks fantastic now. Now, I know on the stream here it doesn't look super great just because, like, I'm doing the stream from here to here, but on my actual, like, looking at the screen, this looks really, really nice. Really clean. Start button, like, this looks really clean. But then when we get into the Files Explorer here, then it starts to look old school, like old, like you got these chunky scroll bars. You got like this. I think this is the old, like, even like Vista font. So it just seems like whoever designed this from a design perspective just did not go the whole 9 yards with consistency. Like, maybe the designer did, and they're just tearing their hair out right now listening to me say that because their coder didn't listen to them. So that could very well be the case. All right, so we're still doing the search results. We've not found anything yet. So, and then, okay. My voice is starting to go because I've been talking for almost an hour straight, but I want to see if we can actually tie Python and Git Bash together, and then we'll call it a day. And like I said, I will put a full set of instructions on how to set up your Windows machine on that GitHub repository. So again, if you cannot remember what that was, easy way to remember, dkhundley.com. Here, let me do dkhundley.com, and you don't have to have that. You could just do dkhundley.com. It will take you to my link tree. Scroll on down, workstation setup, boom, right in here, and I will put a full set of instructions. So by the way, this user interface with like my banner and stuff right here is called a README. A README is readme.md. You can see this here. A README is MD stands for Markdown, which is that same sort of like syntax that we were looking at for Jupyter interfaces. If you ever want to learn more about a Git project like this, pretty much all the time there is a README associated to it. So you can see here I do have a README, and this README like tells you how to install certain things. And I actually do have Anaconda in here, And so that actually this is pretty accurate. So actually I don't think I need to update Anaconda at all. So this is just linking off to the Anaconda individual edition. And then I talk about the command line interface. I'm gonna have to clean this up because there is the installation. Oh wow, go past me. Wow, I didn't even know. I don't even remember that I did all this. So the nice thing here is I did put installation tips for Windows, and so it says by default Windows comes packaged with its own version of the CLI called the command prompt. So that is true. There is a command prompt with Windows that I never use. We will not be using this as it uses very different commands from Linux, which I talked about. And I'm not sure if it works with most CLI software packages. It might. I just don't know. So fortunately, there's a separate program that will emulate Linux called Git Bash. Git Bash comes installed alongside Windows with the installation of Git, which we cover elsewhere. I can't believe, because I wrote this like 2 months ago, and I forgot about that in the last 2 months. I am getting old, folks. And then I did put a bunch of basic Linux commands down here. So we talked about CD and ls, but there are a couple other handy ones. So these are super basic ones that I use on a very daily basis. So PWD stands for Print Working Directory. That'll tell you where you're currently at. So, and then we have ls. MKDIR stands for Make Directory, and this will make a new directory within the directory in. Touch is similar to the make dir command, except instead of creating a new directory, it actually creates a new file. So if you wanted to create like a new text file that's like hello world.txt, you could just do touch hello world.txt, and it would create that file for you. It would be empty, of course, but it would, and there are reasons that you would want to create that. So like, for example, whenever I create a new Git repository, sometimes I create just empty files just as a reminder for myself of, oh, I need to go and populate this with something at some point, but I don't want to do that right now. So I'm just going to create this empty file for now, and then I'll come back to that later. RM stands for remove. That's basically a delete command. It only works on files. If you want to do it on like full directory, or if you want to do it on a full directory, you have to do rm-rf. Be very careful with that, of course, because there is no recovery method for that. It does not go into the recycling bin. It goes directly into oblivion. And then CP and move, MV. So CP stands for copy and MV stands for move. So basically you start off with the command with the CP or move, whichever one you do, and then you note the specific directory or file you want to move, where its original file location is, and then the second part of the command would be the actual location of where you want to move that to. And then finally cat. I don't remember what cat stands for, but cat basically shows the contents of a file. So let me just show you here really quick on my own personal Mac. Let me move my bill head out of the way, or move this over to where my head's not in the way. So again, we're doing this on my Mac, but we should be able to do the same thing on my Windows machine here. Actually, let's go ahead and do it on my Windows machine. All right, so where's Git Bash? So I have Git Bash open here. Let us go to the desktop. I don't know how you navigate to the desktop from here, so we'll find out. So by the way, if you want to go up one directory, it is just cd ... So you could see that we were originally in iCloud Drive /repositories, and now we're in iCloud Drive, and now we're all the way up at the top. So if we do an ls, we can see where we're at. Or if we did a pwd, it would say we are in the C directory of users /David. By the way, my name is David, in case you didn't know. Let us, where is the desktop? So, okay, CD doc, we'll just do it in the downloads folder, because why not? Okay, so CD downloads, so you can see that here you can see all the files that we have downloaded. Obviously we did the exe files to install Anaconda and Git. By the way, you can delete these now that we're done with them from your downloads folder. And then anything else. So, but let's just practice this. Well, let's do the make dir command first. So mkdir test directory, boom. Okay, so if we do an ls command, we now see within blue there that we have a test directory, and if we navigate on into the downloads folder here, you can actually see, boom, same test directory. And so let's come back down into here. So let's make a fake file. So I'm going to touch hello.txt. So that just created it, and I do an ls command again. Oh, dang it, I accidentally created it here. Well, actually, that's fine, because let's do a move command. So we're going to move hello.txt, so that is into test directory. And so by the way, these command lines have autocomplete. So if you type like test dash, because there's nothing in here named like test dash other than test directory. If you do a tab, then it'll autocomplete that for you. And then hello.txt. So what this is going to do is move that over. So if I do an ls command again, you will see that the hello.txt is no longer in here. But if I do a cd into test directory, and an ls again, so hello.txt is now in here, and that should reflect the same here in my Windows Explorer. So if I go into downloads here, and go into the test directory, there we go, and we open up this guy, and there's nothing in it. And so I just had this open. Let me just by default on Windows it opens with Notepad. So hello friends, we are testing out some stuff with CLI commands. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to close out of it. All right, so if I come into here, then, so this is what I was talking about with the cat command. So cat hello.txt, then you can see, hello friends, we are testing out some stuff with the CLI command. So it is showing us the contents of our directory. And obviously there are much more advanced things that we can do, but I just wanted to list out the very, 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 very basic ones here. And then coming back to my actual setup here within Git here, I have a link off to a Udacity course. This is a free Udacity course that you can knock out in a few hours. That will teach you basically everything that you see here, plus a little bit more. Fantastic course. Again, you can knock it out in 2 or 3 hours. Do it, please. You will thank yourself for it later. Okay, so back to setting up Anaconda and Bash. So add the shell script to your Bash RC, but I don't know how to navigate to that. So again, just being honest, like I don't know. Open this file and then navigate to profile D, conda.sh. So let me see if I can just find it with. Well, let's see if I can just find it with the shells here. So let me do a clear cd dot. So actually, so this is weird. I never understood why people love the command line so much. And now I want to do everything I can in the command line. Obviously, you can't do everything, or it's not conducive to do everything, like watching videos or on YouTube or doing my graphic design work. But if I just want to navigate around like the file system, give me a terminal over a user interface any day of the week, please. All right, so and I don't remember where Anaconda got installed at. So probably not here. Well, maybe somewhere. No. CD all users default. CD default. Maybe default? Okay. I don't know. Okay, so it might take me a little bit to find out how to do this, and I don't know how much longer I want to go today anyway. But so let's go ahead and wrap up by talking. And like I said, I will get the instructions on how to connect those things, and then basically you're good to go. The only thing basically we have left is the Python. So what are these other things then? So Git's done, command line interface is done, and then Python and pip I'll figure out at a later date. So what is IntelliJ? What is Docker? And Docker is how we build these things called Docker containers, which are basically very small little virtual environments. So we talked a little bit about a virtual environment before. So even though we can create a virtual environment with Anaconda, most people in the data science world, or even just in the general software development world, will use Docker instead. And so Docker is super simple to set up. It's just going to actually let's go ahead and install Docker. Why not? We got some time. JFrog. For those of you who know why I'm laughing, you know. So let's go to docker.com here. And so we can download Docker. Where is Docker at to download? It's got to be on here somewhere. Products just routes us back to the main site. Okay, so keep scrolling. It's got to be in here somewhere. Docker desktop. JFrog. Okay, so do I have to sign in? All right, well, let me see. Download Docker desktop for Windows. I'm surprised that there's not like this big old flashing button that says install Docker. Okay, so I just googled this, install Docker desktop on Windows. So okay, well, let's go ahead and install. I'm surprised that it wasn't just like on the home page there. Ooh, Docker desktop, 0.5 GB. Nah, that's not too bad though. Okay, so this will be done in 9 seconds. Um, do we what? Hold on. Do we what? Do we what? Sorry, I just got a question in the chat. Somebody asked, do we? Actually, it's not just somebody, it's my wife. So, all right, so Docker Desktop is downloaded, so let's go ahead and open up the exe to install it. Okay, so do you want to make, all right, so you can't see that. All right, I want to make sure that something didn't hang here. Okay, so it's loading. So it is downloading something here. I don't know what it's downloading. Hopefully this won't take long. All right, so install required Windows components for WSL2. Sure, I think. Add shortcut to desktop. This is your personal preference. I personally, again, do not like desktop as my shortcut. Big gulps. Do we have more time? Have more time? Wow. My wife is just, yeah. Hello, wife. All right, so we are going to go ahead and install this. Shouldn't take too long. And then I guess we'll go ahead and install IntelliJ. So while this is installing, IntelliJ is a text editor. Lots of people like different kinds of text editors. There is no one right choice. In fact, most people would actually disagree with me and say to use VS Code. And so both IntelliJ, there's a community edition that's free. I was using a different one called Atom. And then there's VS Code, of course. Honestly, you really can't go wrong with any of them. But we are you wearing Dockers while downloading Docker? Okay. All right. So if you're on LinkedIn, you won't see this, but if you're on your YouTube, my wife is in here making mom jokes. So she just asked me, are you wearing Dockers while downloading Docker? No. So I am wearing, so I will say though, honestly, I'm wearing black sweatpants right now, but I was wearing a Legend of Zelda pajama pants, but it was very obvious that I was wearing those, so I put these over the pajama pants, and I'm just going to take off these sweatpants right after the stream is done. So, I've got more bots in here now. Winnie Moselle, whoever that fake name is. Back with vom.red, whatever that means. Okay, so this is taking a while. So let's go ahead while this is installing and go ahead and start to download IntelliJ. Again, you could choose VS Code, you could choose IntelliJ. It does not necessarily matter. It takes, there's a little bit of advanced setup with some of this stuff. With it like IntelliJ or whatnot. So let me just show you like my Mac variant. Where is my cursor? All right, so my Mac variant of IntelliJ on here. So IntelliJ, because if you've all watched other previous live streams here, then you may have seen some of this already. All right, so this is IntelliJ, and I did move all my projects. So let's do an open, and then go to repositories. And then let's just do the CV parking lot, which is the last live stream that we did. Okay. It is showing up on my other screen, so let me put it up here. Uh-oh. Oh, no, it's still working. I'm just doing a quick check on Docker. Okay, it worked. But it made me restart my computer. Close. I should have read that more closely. Close and restart. Restart anyway. All right, so while that's restarting, I'll just show you IntelliJ on here. So this is IntelliJ. Off on the left here, under the project tab, if we open this up, it shows all of my different files that I've been working on. And so if I open up like test.py, so anything that ends up in .py is a Python file. This is all my coding script. So we use these code editors for writing our code instead of using like a Word document or anything like that. And the reason for that is it's pretty obvious. Is like we have this nice syntax highlighting, so the syntax highlighting will tell you, like, makes it very clear, like, okay, this is like a function or this is like a static variable, and if this doesn't make sense, then don't worry about that. And then it also these code editors can do some fancy things. So like before I were to like push this up to like Git or something, it would tell me if it thinks there's a syntax error. So it thinks it thinks there's something going on here. What is this blue dot? Because usually off on the right here it'll say there's an issue. Okay, there's not an issue here. It's just saying that like, so off on the left here you might be wondering, what does this orange box mean? It means that whenever I originally committed this to Git, I committed it with a different thing, and I've edited it, so that's why it's showing orange is saying, okay, I edited a line. So if I were to add a new line in here, or like, so you can see then it shows up in green, and then if I take those away, then it goes back. So the text editors are super nice, but and again, you really can't go wrong. So my Windows machine is restarting back up here. So let me see if I can get this going again. Sorry, I did not realize it was going to do that restart on me. Where is Chrome? So this is Chrome. Something went wrong. Of course it went wrong because it shut down. All right, where is Des Screen? DES Screen. Okay. So by the way, if you are thinking about getting a Surface and replacing the hard drive, just be leery that it's a kind of a weird, sketchy kind of process because you can't buy these because it's a very special kind of like little hard drive, that they don't sell like at a Best Buy or something. I actually had to buy mine off eBay from China, and I hope my wife still isn't watching this. It wasn't expensive, and I read like a 50 billion reviews to make sure that it's going to be okay. But then even after that, then you have to pop off the back here, and you have to like use some thermal paste to install it. So unless you're adventurous like I am, I don't know if I'd necessarily advise that. Okay, so let's come back into Des Screen. Okay, so and all right, 3031. So 110.709.110.709. Okay. All right, so I need to allow and entire screen, and then make this full screen once it's good. Confirm. I did confirm. Yep, I did confirm. Okay, so we can do that. Minimize that. So this showed up automatically for me. I don't know if it will for you. I assume it will. So let's go ahead and accept the terms and conditions, and then we should have Docker installed. Docker desktop. I just did a restart. Let's just keep this open, but I'm not going to actually do the restart. I'll do the restart later. Well, let's go ahead and click cancel it now because I don't think it really matters. So let's go ahead and see how we install IntelliJ. So IntelliJ CE standing for Community Edition. So IntelliJ is made by a company called JetBrains. JetBrains makes several different IDEs. So one of them is PyCharm. The only reason I prefer IntelliJ over PyCharm is they look almost the exact same, but IntelliJ is a little bit more general, whereas PyCharm, as the name kind of implies, Py is more so honed in on Python. And so there is so let's go ahead and open up this tab, or this link here, so you can see that there is a Community Edition and an Ultimate Edition. And so I agree, sure. And you could do the comparisons back and forth. Honestly, I have never, because I use Ultimate at work, but I don't think I've ever used any of these special features for Ultimate. I take it back. There was one in here. Oh wait, no, wow, because I was using Docker for something, but it's now saying it's part of the Community Edition. Ooh, okay, I might have to explore that in a different live stream. Okay, so Community Edition, just download here, and then we should see like a little thing downloading. There we go. It's about half gigabyte, and then we're gonna again walk through the whole process of just doing the click, next, if you will. Okay, so this is downloading pretty quick. And then we'll call it a day here for sure. So while that's downloading again, so did Docker, boom. We're working on IntelliJ. The only thing that we didn't really do is connect Conda to Git Bash appropriately. But I mean, the one nice thing is if you still wanted to do things in Jupyter Notebooks, you still could just go into your files here and then just type in Jupyter, and then it'll do it for you from here. I personally don't prefer this option just because I like to do everything like I said, I like to do everything that I can, the CLI that I can. So, all right, so we downloaded that. Let's go ahead and open this up. And the one that you saw on my Mac is reskinned, meaning that it has a different look to it than the one that comes out of the box, just because I am, again, a stickler for aesthetics. And all right, so oh man, I started clicking without even talking about things. So starting off here, we are going to just do next, next. All right, so installation options, desktop shortcut. That's your personal, your if your choice. Update path variable. No, let's not do that for now. And then update context menus, create associations. So we can just leave all these blank for now, unless you want to do the shortcut, of course, which I will not be. So start menu folder, JetBrains is fine. And keep them again. JetBrains is the company that made IntelliJ. And so while this is installing, what was I talking about? Oh, so this is my the way I have this installed. So you can do different things like install different syntax highlighters or whatever. But I personally like this theme here, like this the color of this. And well, let's just do it on the Windows computer whenever it's done. Because the default one is like brown and like ugly. So this is actually so I mentioned there's multiple text editors, VS Code, IntelliJ, and then Atom. This is actually the Atom UI, or the way that the Atom UI looks like. And actually, before I used IntelliJ, I preferred Atom just because Atom looks so good. Atom being ATOM. And if you want, you can install Atom on your Windows machine. That is up to you. I think the one thing I really like about IntelliJ is that you got your navigation over here. You can do your commits over here. And so just full transparency, and this might surprise you, I have never used VS Code, so maybe VS Code can do the same thing. Atom could not. But the other thing down here is that you can also open up a command line terminal, very similar to the one that we had over in like the iTerm 2. So I can run this exact same commands here. And then and even more so, it's opening it right in our directory, right where we're starting off at. Library, mobile documents, com, repositories. Oh, okay, so that's where it's located. Interesting. Okay, Windows, are you done? Must be. So it looks like I got my icon down here. Let's go ahead and run it, just so we can show. Because the only thing I want to do is reskin this thing, just because I do not like the default skin. So you can send your statistics or not. Sure, I personally don't care. Okay, so welcome to IntelliJ. So let's go ahead and do a new project. And then, oh, this is interesting. I haven't opened a new project in forever. Project SDK. Let's cancel out of this. Can I just create because you're not gonna have this on your computer, unfortunately, but I do. Is my other stuff in the iCloud drive. So iCloud drive, my repositories, so there. In my tutorials, I will link another free Udacity course that teaches you more about how to use Git and then how to use GitHub. And then my recommendation would be not to create a new project. I would actually just clone one. And actually, when I create a new project, I actually just do it all from the command line interface and then import it into IntelliJ. I've actually never started one from scratch on IntelliJ. So let's do our movie ratings project, because that's probably the next one we're going to do. Trust and open. Yes, we're going to trust this project. So open, open, open. And so maximize this. Terminal. Close. I forgot about Windows PowerShell. Oh, so maybe we don't want to use Git Bash. Maybe we want to use Windows PowerShell instead. Does it have the yeah, okay. Okay, so I forgot. By default, on your Windows machine, you should have a program on here called Windows PowerShell. I forgot that Microsoft did this. So basically, as a reaction to, because there still is a command prompt program as well. So if I come in here, type in command prompt. So let's open this guy up. So this is the Windows version of like a command line interface. But if you notice, if I do an ls does not recognize as a command because that is a Linux command. So they developed this other program called PowerShell. And now I'm curious if we do a Conda version over here. Conda, the name. How about Conda? How about Python? Okay, so there's still an issue here. I'm getting this to look like really in Windows. I actually think I'm okay with this. I actually think I might prefer this. This is interesting. So this is a kind of a twist. but it might be a good twist. So maybe we can just download Python directly from here, and maybe well, I'm gonna keep well. Okay, I will still figure out how to get Anaconda working. Oh dang it! Is my live stream not working anymore? Let me see. Sorry, I just want to check to see if my technology is working here still. Is my live stream working? Okay, it appears to be working. So, okay, so I'm downloading Python from here from the Microsoft Store. So again, back to when I first had a Mac for the or a Windows machine for the first time, there was no such thing as a Microsoft Store. So this is new. You can find this here. All right, so let's go back into PowerShell. Python. Okay, clear. Exit. Okay, so if you want to test that at work, you just type in Python -- version, and it'll tell you the version of Python. So we're running 3.9.9. The latest version of Python is actually Python 3.10. Yeah, so I'm going to roll back a little bit what I said before. I don't think we're going to use Git Bash. I think we're going to use PowerShell instead. But I got to remember... Okay, so yeah, I think this should be fine. But you can see here in IntelliJ that like this is kind of like a... It's not easy to tell, but it's kind of like a poop brown color. So what I want to do here is actually install something diff, like I'm not sure how to do it in Windows. I'm looking. I just navigate window. Well, let's just Google it. So Google, let's search for Windows. What do I want to do? IntelliJ. Install plugin. So that's what these things are called, plugins. And there's different kinds of plugins that you can install. So manage plugins. So, all right, so Control-Alt-S to select, press Control-Alt to open IDE settings and select plugins. So I don't know if I want to do that. I just want to see if there's a way to do it in here. So file, is there settings? Oh, right there, right at the top. So in Mac, the reason I'm thrown off is because Mac always refers to settings as preferences. So we come in here, and you can see that off on the left, there are different things that we can do, and I might have to do some other things in here, but the one thing I do want to show you is plugins. So plugins, again, you can do a lot of different things, and then there are a lot of different popular ones, as you can see, but the one I want to do is the Atom skin. So it's actually called the Atom 1 Dark Theme, is the one that I use on my personal Mac. So let's go ahead and install this, accept. And you can see it looks kind of like an Atom icon. Okay, and then you can see it, I don't know if you can tell, but it changed colors kind of big time. So if I come off onto my directory here, and let's open up in my container directory, I have some Python files in here. So main.py, will it syntax highlight appropriately? Install plugin. So plugins supporting .py files found. Let's go ahead and install these plugins. Python Community Edition. Okay, that's fine. Let's make this a little bit smaller. And boom, we have IntelliJ up and going. Okay, so we got very close to having everything good to go. So we didn't get Anaconda necessarily working, but okay. Oh, I do want to check to see if PowerShell will do a pip at least. So here, let's do clear. So clear, so we're restarting this. So again, this is the same command line prompt. It's just within IntelliJ here, running the exact same things that PowerShell would do. Let's check if there's a pip version. Pip version. Okay, so it appears to work. So let's see if we can install Pandas. Pip install Pandas. And so that is, again, one of the primary data science libraries that we use. And it is working. Okay, so Python pip, boom, we can call this one done. Boom. And so there, I guess we really did hit on our list, but I did want to show how to create virtual environments with Conda. Do I really care? Well, let's see if I can install Jupyter as well. It's not on the path, so so let's install pip install Jupyter. I think it's Jupyter. Okay, so the way, and I was mentioning before that you could do the Jupyter Notebook via that the Anaconda installation that we did here, but that is not my personal preference. My personal preference is actually executing it from the command line here, and then it's showing that it's not on the path, so I may have to do some additional things on here, but we'll see. Okay. Come on. Yeah, so it's installing a bunch of this stuff that is not on the path, which basically what it's saying is, it's not going to be able to open by default. I don't think so. Jupyter Notebook, or maybe it will. We'll see here in a second. So yeah, so this is not on the path. So that's another thing I need to figure out. So basically, what it's saying is when you install these things, it is looking in specific like areas to actually like execute these things. And right now, it is basically saying, okay, my Windows PowerShell cannot find this stuff, even though I just installed it. And that's going to take me a little bit to figure out, and I am honestly too lazy to continue this live stream. Well, my voice is going to. And oh my gosh, we've been going for over an hour and a half. So let us wrap it up here. This was a fun live stream. And that is basically, I mean, we didn't get the virtual environment set up, which is okay because I actually prefer to use I don't use Anaconda for virtual environments. And actually, now that I think about it, I don't really use Anaconda for almost anything, but it is a simple way to get up and going if you'd like. So I think I would recommend it for you if you are a starting learner. But I hope you learned something today. And I certainly learned something today, and I will update that one Git repository again. DK Hundley, navigate to the bottom of the link tree, workstation setup. I will update to make sure that has everything appropriate in there for you. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I hope you Windows users can get up and going with data science and machine learning. And I hope you join us in other live streams. So even if you're a new person to these live streams, I try to explain my best in layman's terms how to do these things. So you might not be a master, but I would still encourage you to come back. And of course, I didn't really get any questions aside from my wife asking me, "Are you wearing Dockers while downloading Docker?" But yeah, I need to get sponsored by Circle K too. Because even though I am on my new weight loss journey, I still have a little sweet spot for my Coke Zero and my Polar Pops. And again, Sip and Save is back. It's here to stay, I think, because it was just like a 1-month program. So what Sip and Save is you pay $6 up front, and then you can come back in for the next 30 days and get one free one of these every single day. So even if you only go to Circle K every other day, it's still economically viable. So thank you, Circle K, for your future sponsorship of these live streams. All right, that is all for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed this live stream. I know I did, and we will call it a day there.